Whitney's heels clicked against marble she couldn't afford to scratch. Peacocks. There were actual peacocks near the entrance, fanning iridescent tails like they owned the place. This wasn't Sarah's beach wedding. This was something else entirely. "You look lost," a voice said behind her. "Low, warm, dangerous." She turned. The man in the black tux had the kind of face that made bad decisions feel inevitable. Dark eyes, darker hair, a jaw that could cut glass. "I'm at the wrong wedding," Whitney said, clutching her thrift store clutch tighter. "Or maybe you're exactly where you need to be." He extended his hand. "Conrad Zayn, best man. And you are—" "Leaving," she said, but her hand was already in his. His grip was warm, confident. He didn't let go. "Stay," he said simply. "1 hour. If you hate it, I'll walk you out myself." The string quartet swelled. Guests in designer gowns glided past. Whitney should have run. Instead, she nodded. Conrad smiled like he'd just won something. By the time they reached the ceremony space overlooking the ocean, Whitney was seated beside him. So close their shoulders touched. The bride floated down the aisle in silk and diamonds, but Conrad's eyes never left Whitney's face. "You don't belong here either," she whispered. "No," he agreed. "I hate weddings." "Then why are you the best man?" "Because I owe my brother everything." His voice cracked on the last word, just slightly, just enough to make it real. The vows began. Conrad's hand found hers in the space between their chairs. Neither of them pulled away. When the champagne toast came, Whitney was still there, still holding his hand, still forgetting why she wanted to leave. "Dance with me," Conrad said as the reception started. "I'm not dressed for this." "You're perfect." He said it like a fact, not a compliment. On the dance floor, under 1,000 string lights, his hand settled at the small of her back. The world narrowed to the space between their bodies. The heat of his palm through silk, the way he looked at her like she was the only real thing in a room full of beautiful ghosts. "What if I don't want this night to end?" he whispered against her temple. "Then don't let it," she heard herself say. His eyes darkened. "Come with me?" "Where?" "Anywhere that isn't here." The question hung between them, electric and terrifying. Then Whitney nodded. Conrad's black car was waiting. As they drove away from the venue, city lights streaking past the windows, he finally spoke. "There's something you should know about me." Whitney's stomach dropped. "What?" He turned to face her fully, and in the dim light, he looked younger, vulnerable. "I'm Conrad Zayn," he said. "Zayn Innovations. I'm the one you've been reading about. The billionaire, the tech mogul, the man who just made her feel like she mattered. Does that change anything?" he asked quietly. Whitney stared at him, at the way his jaw tensed, waiting for her answer, at the way his hand still held hers like he was afraid she'd disappear. "I don't know yet," she said honestly. He smiled, sad and hopeful at once. "Then let's find out." The car stopped at a rooftop restaurant wrapped in fairy lights. Conrad led her to a private table overlooking the glittering city. "Tell me something true," he said, pouring wine. "Something no one else knows." Whitney took a breath. "I'm broke. Like, actually broke. I might lose my flower shop next month. I came to the wrong wedding because I can't afford new clothes for the right one." Conrad's expression didn't change. "My turn," he said. "My brother is dying. This wedding? It's the only thing he wanted before the cancer takes him. And I can't save him. I can buy anything in the world, but I can't save him." The words hung there, raw and bleeding. Whitney reached across the table and took his hand. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "Don't be. Just stay. Tonight. With me." She should have said no. She knew that. But something in his eyes looked like drowning, and she'd always been too quick to dive in after broken things. "Okay," she said. "Tonight." Conrad exhaled like she'd just given him oxygen. They left the restaurant hours later, stumbling through stories and wine-soaked confessions. His penthouse was all glass and city views, but he led her to the terrace instead, where the night air tasted like salt and possibility. "I don't do this," he said, pulling her close. "Bring people here. Trust people." "Why me?" "Because you looked at me like I was just a man." Not a name. Not a bank account. Just me. Whitney tilted her face up. You are just a man. No, he said, his voice rough. I'm really not. Then he kissed her, desperate and careful at once, like she was something precious and terrifying, and Whitney kissed him back, tasting wine and want and the beginning of something that felt like falling. They pulled apart, breathing hard. Stay tonight, he said again. Please. So she did. She woke the next morning on a velvet chaise, fully clothed, sunlight streaming through impossible windows. Conrad stood on the terrace, phoned his ear, looking like he carried the weight of entire worlds. He saw her and hung up. Morning, he said. You were out cold. I didn't want to wake you. Whitney's phone buzzed. 17 missed calls. Her landlord. Her supplier. Reality crashing back in. I have to go, she said. Conrad crossed to her in 3 strides. Don't. I have a shop, a life, bills. I'll pay them. Whitney froze. What? Your bills, your rent, whatever you need. Just stay. The offer hung between them, glittering and wrong. You don't even know me, Whitney said slowly. Then let me. His hand cupped her face. Please, I'm not ready for you to disappear. Whitney pulled back, her heart hammering. This isn't real, Conrad. Last night was beautiful, but it's not real life. It could be. No. She grabbed her clutch, her shoes. It can't. She was halfway to the door when he spoke again. My brother has 6 months. Maybe less. Whitney stopped. He asked me if I'd found anyone. Anyone real. I lied and said no, because that's what I always say. Conrad's voice cracked. But then you walked into that wedding, and for the first time in my life, I didn't want to lie anymore. Whitney turned. Conrad stood in the morning light, looking shattered and raw and more human than any man she'd ever met. 1 month, he said. Give me 1 month to prove this is real. If you still want to walk away after that, I won't stop you. Every instinct screamed at her to run, to protect herself, to not fall for the impossible. But she looked at him, really looked, and saw the same terror in his eyes that lived in her chest. 1 month, she whispered. Conrad exhaled, relief flooding his face. Neither of them knew they'd just made a deal with the devil herself, because outside the penthouse, in a car parked across the street, a woman with platinum hair and cold eyes watched them through the windows. She smiled. Then she made a phone call. He found someone, she said softly. Yes, it's time. 1 month turned into 3 weeks of fairy tale. Conrad sent a car for her every morning. They had breakfast on his terrace, lunch in hidden restaurants where chefs knew his name, dinners that stretched into dawn. He bought out her flower shop's debt like it was pocket change, then acted like it meant nothing. I don't want your money, Whitney said on the 14th day, watching rain streak down the penthouse windows. Then what do you want? Conrad pulled her close, his hands warm on her waist. I want to know why you're really doing this. His jaw tightened. What's that supposed to mean? You're not this person. The one who falls for a girl at a wedding. The one who drops everything to play house. Maybe I am with you. Or maybe you're lonely and I'm convenient. Conrad stepped back like she'd slapped him. Is that what you think? I don't know what to think. Whitney's voice cracked. You're a billionaire, Conrad. I sell flowers. This doesn't make sense. Not everything has to make sense. In the real world, it does. They stared at each other, the space between them suddenly vast. Conrad's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his face went pale. What is it? My brother. He was already moving, grabbing his jacket. The hospital called. He collapsed. Whitney didn't think. She grabbed her coat and followed. The drive was silent, tense. Conrad's knuckles were white on his knees, his jaw locked tight. Whitney took his hand, and he gripped it hard enough to bruise. At the hospital, machines beeped rhythms of borrowed time. James Zayn lay in the bed, tubes and wires connecting him to life itself. He was younger than Whitney expected, maybe 30, with Conrad's eyes and a smile that probably used to light up rooms. You made it, James said weakly. His gaze slid to Whitney. And you brought her. Conrad's hand tightened on hers. James, this is Whitney. The wrong wedding girl. James's smile was real despite everything. He won't shut up about you. Whitney felt something crack in her chest. It's nice to meet you. Liar. But James said it kindly. I'm dying. Nothing about this is nice. James, Conrad warned. What? We're pretending now. James coughed, the sound wet and wrong. I'm done pretending, brother. I've got 6 weeks if I'm lucky. Maybe less. The number hit like a fist. They said 6 months, Conrad said hoarsely. They were being optimistic. James looked at Whitney. Take care of him. When I'm gone, he'll try to disappear into his work, into his money, into anything that doesn't feel like this. Don't let him. James, stop. Promise me. James's eyes were bright, feverish. Promise me you'll make him live. Whitney's throat closed. I promise. James closed his eyes. Good. Now get out. Both of you. Go do something that isn't this. Outside the hospital, Conrad walked to the edge of the parking garage and screamed into the night. Raw. Shredded. Animal. Whitney waited. When he turned back, his eyes were red. I can't do this. Yes, you can. No. He shook his head. I can't watch him die. I can't sit there and pretend it's okay. I can't do it. Whitney crossed him and grabbed his face in both hands. Then don't pretend. Scream. Break things. Cry. But don't run. He needs you. I need him. I know. Conrad broke then, fully. He wrapped his arms around her and sobbed into her shoulder, great heaving gasps that shook them both. Whitney held him, this man made of money and power, and felt him shatter like glass. I've got you, she whispered. I've got you. They stood there until the shaking stopped, until Conrad pulled back, wiping his eyes with the heels of his hands. Thank you, he said quietly. For what? For not leaving. I promise your brother. No. Conrad looked at her, really looked. You promised before that. The second you stayed that first night. You promised. Whitney's breath caught. Conrad. I'm in love with you, he said. Raw. Honest. Terrifying. I know it's fast and I know it's insane, but I don't care anymore. I'm in love with you, Whitney Granger. The words hung between them, impossible and real. Say something, he whispered. Whitney opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. I'm scared, she finally said. Of what? That this isn't real. That you're going to wake up one day and realize I'm just a girl who crashed a wedding. That I'm not enough for this life. Conrad pulled her close, his forehead against hers. You're not enough for this life. You're too good for it. You're real in a world that's fake. You're light in all my dark. You're everything, Whitney, everything. She kissed him then, desperate and sure, tasting salt and truth and the beginning of everything. I love you too, she whispered against his mouth. God help me, I love you too. They went back to the penthouse and made love like drowning people reaching for air. Frantic, gentle, desperate, sure, every touch a promise, every kiss a prayer. After, wrapped in sheets that cost more than her rent, Whitney traced patterns on Conrad's chest. What happens when the month is up? She asked. We make it forever. Just like that. Just like that. He caught her hand, kissed her palm. Marry me. Whitney froze. What? Marry me. Not because I'm dying or lonely or any of that. Marry me because I won't wake up next to you for the rest of my life. Because you make me feel human. Because I love you. Conrad, that's insane. I know. We've known each other 3 weeks. I know. This is crazy. I know. He rolled over, pinning her beneath him, his eyes dark and sure. Say yes anyway. Whitney stared up at him, at this impossible man with his impossible life offering her an impossible future. She thought of her tiny apartment, her struggling shop, her safe, small, predictable life. Then she thought of this, of him, of the way he looked at her like she hung the moon. Yes, she heard herself say. Yes, I'll marry you. Conrad's smile could have lit the whole city. He kissed her again, deep and claiming, and Whitney kissed back, thinking this must be what flying feels like. Neither of them saw the woman on the security footage. Platinum hair, cold eyes, standing in the lobby, talking to the night guard, slipping him an envelope, walking out into the night. The next morning, Whitney woke alone. There was a note on the pillow in Conrad's handwriting. Had to handle something. Back by noon. I love you. She smiled, pressing the note to her chest. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Hello? Whitney Granger? A woman's voice. Smooth. Cold. We need to talk. About Conrad. About the lies he's been telling you. Who is this? Someone who actually cares about you. Meet me at Café Noir in 1 hour. Come alone. Or don't, and spend the rest of your life wondering what you didn't know. The line went dead. Whitney stared at the phone, her stomach twisting. She should ignore it. Should wait for Conrad. Should trust what they had. But something in the woman's voice sounded like truth. She got dressed. She went to the cafe. And everything she thought she knew turned to ash. The woman at Café Noir wore designer everything and a smile like broken glass. Platinum hair. Ice blue eyes. Beautiful in the way weapons are beautiful. Whitney. She gestured to the seat across from her. Sit. Who are you? Victoria Ashford, Conrad's ex-fiancée. The word punched the air from Whitney's lungs. Ex-fiancée. Surprised he didn't mention me? Victoria sipped her coffee, perfectly manicured fingers wrapped around expensive porcelain. Not surprising. Conrad has a habit of erasing inconvenient truths. Whitney sat because her legs wouldn't hold her anymore. What do you want? To save you from making my mistake. Victoria slid a folder across the table. Open it. Whitney's hands shook as she lifted the cover. Photographs. Documents. Bank statements. Her flower shop deed. Transferred to Conrad's name 2 weeks ago. Her apartment lease. Paid in full by Conrad Zayn 6 months in advance. Her credit cards. All cleared by Conrad's accounts. I don't understand, Whitney whispered. Don't you? Victoria's smile was poison. He bought you, sweetheart. Every piece of your life. You're not his girlfriend. You're his project. No. Yes. Victoria flipped to another page. An email. Conrad's name at the top. Read it. Whitney's vision blurred as she read. To legal team. Whitney Granger acquisition. Proceed with full financial integration. Property, debt, assets. I want complete ownership by month's end. Keep her unaware. This needs to feel organic. The date was 3 days after they'd met. He planned this, Whitney said numbly. From the beginning. Worse than that. Victoria leaned forward. He does this. Finds women who are broken or desperate or lost. Fixes them. Makes them dependent. Then when they realize what he's done, it's too late. They're so tangled up in his money, his power. They can't leave without losing everything. Why? Control. Victoria's eyes were hard. Conrad can't save his brother. Can't stop the cancer. Can't control death. So he controls everything else. Everyone else. It's pathological. Whitney's stomach turned. How many? Before me? 3. After me? You're number 5. Oh, God. I got out. Victoria's voice softened just slightly. Barely. He threatened to destroy my family's company if I spoke out. I've been rebuilding for 2 years. But when I saw you in the security footage, when I saw the way he looked at you, I knew I had to warn you. I don't believe you. Yes, you do. Victoria stood, leaving the folder. Check it yourself. Call the banks. Check the deeds. It's all there. He owns you now, Whitney. Question is, what are you going to do about it? She walked out, leaving Whitney alone with the ashes of her fairy tale. Whitney sat there for an hour, reading every document, every email, every transaction. All real, all signed, all Conrad. Her phone rang. Conrad's name lit the screen. She let it ring. It rang again and again. Finally, She answered. Were you? His voice was warm, concerned. I came home and you're gone. Did you buy my shop? Silence. Whitney, answer the question. Did you buy my shop? My apartment? My life? More silence. Then quietly, yes. The admission shattered something in her chest. Why? To help you. Liar. Her voice broke. To control me. To own me. No. Whitney, listen to me. I'm done listening. She stood, the folder clutched in shaking hands. I'm done believing. I'm done being your project. You're not a project. I love you. You love owning me. There's a difference. That's not fair. Fair. Whitney laughed, the sound jagged. You bought me like a piece of property, and I'm the one being unfair? I was trying to take care of you. Without asking, without telling me, you took away my choice, Conrad. You took away my agency. You made me a doll in your perfect dollhouse. I saved you. I didn't need saving. The words ripped out of her. I needed a partner. I needed someone who saw me as an equal. Instead, I got a billionaire with a God complex who thinks love means ownership. That's not what this is. Then what is it? Explain to me how buying my entire life without my knowledge is anything but manipulation. She heard him breathing on the other end. Hard. Ragged. I was afraid, he finally said. Afraid you'd leave. Afraid this wasn't real. Afraid I'd lose the one good thing in my life, right when I'm losing everything else. So you chained me to you financially. I secured you. There's a difference. No, Conrad, there really isn't. Silence stretched between them, vast and cold. Come home, he said softly. Please, we'll figure this out. That's the thing. Whitney closed her eyes against the tears. It's not my home. You own it, just like you own everything else. Whitney, I need time. Don't call me. Don't come find me. Don't do anything. Just give me time to think. How much time? I don't know. She hung up before he could respond. The folder felt like lead in her hands. Every page was evidence of how thoroughly she'd been deceived, how completely she'd fallen for the illusion. Her phone buzzed. A text from Conrad. I love you. That's real. Everything else can be fixed. Please believe me. Whitney stared at the words until they blurred. Then she blocked his number. She spent the next 3 days in a hotel room she paid for with a credit card that was hers, truly hers, before Conrad entered her life. She called banks, verified deeds, checked every detail Victoria had given her. All true. On the 4th day, someone knocked on her door. She opened it expecting hotel staff. It was James. Conrad's dying brother stood in the hallway, oxygen tank in tow, looking like death warmed over but with eyes full of fire. We need to talk, he said, about my brother, about what he did, about what you don't know. Whitney stepped back, letting him in. James sat heavily on the bed, breathing labored. He told you about the acquisitions. Victoria told me. James's expression darkened. Victoria. Of course. He looked up at her. Did she tell you why he does it? Control issues. Bullshit. James coughed, the sound rattling. He does it because I'm dying and he's terrified of losing people. He does it because our parents died in a car crash when we were kids and he couldn't save them. He does it because the only thing he's ever been able to control is money. So he uses it to build walls around the people he loves so they can't disappear. Whitney sank into the chair. That doesn't make it right. No, it doesn't. James met her eyes. But it makes it human. Broken. Terrified. My brother isn't a villain, Whitney. He's a trauma survivor with unlimited resources and no idea how to love without trying to save people. He lied to me. He did. And that's unforgivable. But do you want to know what else is true? James leaned forward. In all my life, I've never seen him look at someone the way he looks at you. Like you're air. Like you're the sun. Like if you disappear, he'll stop existing. James. I'm dying, Whitney. I've got maybe a month left. And my last wish is that my brother not die with me. His voice cracked. Because that's what'll happen if you leave. He'll go through the motions. He'll keep breathing. But the part of him that's actually alive, that'll die with me. Tears streaked down Whitney's face. What am I supposed to do? Whatever you want. I can't tell you to stay. I can't tell you to forgive him. I can only tell you that he loves you, and that love doesn't know how to be anything but broken in this family. James stood slowly. But maybe you could teach him. Maybe you could show him what real love looks like. He left, the oxygen tank hissing as he walked away. Whitney sat in the silence, torn between rage and heartbreak. Her phone, still blocked, sat on the nightstand. She unblocked Conrad's number. 53 missed calls, 32 texts, all variations of I'm sorry. I love you. Please come back. The last text was from 10 minutes ago. James just left. I know he talked to you. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. But I'm begging anyway. Give me one chance to make this right. One chance to prove I can love you the way you deserve. Please. Whitney stared at the message. Then she typed back, "One chance. That's all you get." The response was immediate. "Thank you. I'll spend the rest of my life earning it." She closed her eyes. God help me. The next morning, she went back to the penthouse. Conrad answered the door, looking like he hadn't slept in days. His eyes were red-rimmed, his clothes rumpled, his usual polish completely gone. "You came," he said, voice hoarse. "I came. I'm so sorry, Whitney. I'm so goddamn sorry." "I know." She stepped inside. "But sorry isn't enough. We need rules. Anything. Transfer everything back. My shop, my apartment, my debts, all of it. I'll figure out on my own. Whitney, no arguments. If we're doing this, we're doing it as equals, not as owner and owned. Okay, done. Second rule, no more secrets. No more decisions about my life without my consent. Ever. I promise. Third rule, she stepped close, looking up at him. You see a therapist. You deal with your control issues. You learn to love without suffocating. Conrad's jaw worked. Okay. And fourth, her voice softened. You let me love you back. Not as a project. Not as something to fix. Just as you. Broken, scared, traumatized you. Can you do that? He pulled her close, his face buried in her hair. I don't know how. Then we'll learn together. They stood there, holding each other, two broken people trying to make something whole. I love you, Conrad whispered. I love you so much it terrifies me. I love you too. Whitney pulled back, cupping his face. But if you ever lie to me again, if you ever manipulate me again, I'm gone. No second chances. No explanations. Just gone. Understand? I understand. She kissed him then, soft and sure, a promise and a warning in one. They had just started to rebuild when Conrad's phone rang. The hospital. James had collapsed again. This time, the doctor said he might not wake up. They ran. James lay in a hospital bed, smaller than before, machines breathing for him now. The cancer had moved fast. Too fast. Even the doctors looked surprised. Days, one of them said quietly. Maybe hours. Conrad sat beside his brother, holding a hand that felt like paper. I'm here, James. I'm right here. Whitney stood in the doorway, giving them space, watching Conrad break in slow motion. You should go in, a nurse said softly. He'd want you there too. So Whitney entered, sat on James's other side, took his other hand. James's eyes fluttered open. Recognition flickered. You stayed, he whispered, voice barely there. I stayed. Good. His eyes moved to Conrad. Stop crying. You're ugly when you cry. Conrad laughed through tears. Shut up. Make me? James coughed, the sound wet. Oh, wait. You can't, because I'm dying. James. I'm scared, Con. James's grip tightened. I don't want to go. Then don't. Stay. Fight. I'm tired of fighting. James looked between them. Promise me something. Anything, Conrad said. Live. Both of you. Don't just exist. Actually live. Travel. Fight. Make love. Make mistakes. Be messy. Be human. He coughed again. Promise me. I promise, Whitney whispered. Conrad, I promise. Good. James smiled, fragile and fading. Now get out. Let me sleep. James, go. Spend time together while you can. I'll still be here. They left because what else could they do? In the hospital chapel, Conrad finally broke completely. Whitney held him. This man who tried to buy her, control her, own her, and felt him shatter into a million pieces. I can't lose him, he sobbed. I can't. I know. He's all I have left. No. Whitney tilted his face up. You have me, and I'm not going anywhere. Conrad kissed her desperately, like she was the only solid thing in the world coming apart. They made love in an empty hallway, against a wall, frantic and sacred, life asserting itself against death. After, wrapped in each other, Conrad spoke. I need to tell you something. What? There's a treatment, experimental, 90% fatal, but there's a chance, a small one. Whitney pulled back. Why didn't you tell James? Because the cost. Conrad closed his eyes. It's not money. It's me. Someone has to be the control. Someone genetically similar has to undergo the same procedure to see if the treatment works or if it's the disease killing them. You die. Maybe. Probably. He looked at her. But there's a chance I wouldn't. A chance we both live. And a chance you both die. Yes. Whitney's blood ran cold. No. Absolutely not. Whitney? No, Conrad. I just got you back. You're not throwing your life away on a maybe. He's my brother. And you're my future. She grabbed his face. You promised me. You promised we'd learn to love together. You can't keep that promise if you're dead. I can't live with myself if I don't try to save him. What about me? The words ripped out of her. What about what I need? What about the fact that I love you and the thought of losing you makes me want to stop breathing? Conrad pulled her close. I love you, more than I thought I could love anyone. But he's my brother. He raised me when our parents died. He put me through college. He's the reason I'm anything at all. So you're just going to die for him? I'm going to try to save him. He kissed her forehead, and maybe save myself in the process. Whitney pulled away. If you do this, I can't watch. I can't sit there and watch you die. I know. I'll leave. I'll walk away. I won't be able to handle it. I know. His voice cracked, but I have to try. They stared at each other, the space between them filling with everything unsaid, when Whitney whispered, tomorrow, if James agrees. And if I beg you not to, then I'll hate myself for the rest of my life. Conrad took her hands. But I'll stay. If you ask me to, I'll stay. The choice hung between them, impossible and cruel. Whitney thought of James, of his laugh, his kindness, his last wish for them to live. She thought of Conrad, of his broken edges, his desperate love, his need to save everyone but himself. She thought of the life they could have, should have. Then she thought of the life they'd have if Conrad let his brother die without trying everything. Do it, she said, the words like swallowing glass. Whitney, do it. Save him. Try. Tears streamed down her face. But come back to me. Do you hear me? You come back to me, or I'll never forgive you. Conrad kissed her, tasting salt and sacrifice. I'll come back. I promise. Liar. But she kissed him back, memorizing the taste of him, the feel, the warmth, just in case. They told James the next morning. He refused at first. I'm not letting you die for me, James said weakly. You don't have a choice, Conrad replied. I've already signed the papers. Conrad, you do the same for me. Conrad sat on the bed. You know you would. James looked at Whitney, talked sense into him. I tried. Her voice was hollow. He doesn't listen. Stubborn idiot. Dying idiot, Conrad corrected. Important distinction. James laughed, then coughed. If you die, I'll kill you. Deal. They wheeled Conrad away 3 hours later. Whitney held his hand until they reached the surgical wing. I love you, he said. Don't. Whitney's voice broke. Don't say goodbye. Say see you later. See you later. Liar. He smiled, sad and sure. See you later, Whitney Granger. We have a life to live. Then he was gone. Whitney sat in the waiting room with James, who they brought up in a wheelchair. Both of them quiet. Both of them terrified. He's going to live. James said after an hour. He has to. Why? Because I refuse to die knowing I took him with me. James looked at her. You love him. I do. Good. He needs that. Needs someone to love him despite himself. He makes it hard. The best things always are. They sat in silence as hours crawled past. 3 hours became 6. 6 became 8. At hour 9, a doctor emerged. Expressionless. We need to talk, he said. Whitney's world tilted. James gripped her hand. Is he alive? The doctor looked between them. The procedure was successful for Mr. James Zayn. And Conrad, Whitney whispered, he's in critical condition. The treatment triggered a cascade reaction. We've managed to stabilize him. But the next 24 hours are crucial. If he makes it through the night, his chances improve significantly. Can we see him? Family only. She's family, James said firmly. She's his fiancée. The lie became truth as the doctor nodded. They wheeled James to Conrad's room first. He was alive but unconscious, monitors beeping steady rhythms, tubes and wires everywhere. You better wake up, James said, voice thick. You hear me? You don't get to die. Not after this. Not after finally finding her. Whitney touched Conrad's hand. It was warm, alive. I'm here, she whispered. I'm right here. You come back to me. You promise. The machines beeped their mechanical lullaby. Conrad didn't move. Whitney stayed all night. James, too, until the nurses made him go back to his room to rest. I'll be back, he promised. He wakes up. You tell him I'm going to kick his ass. I will. Alone with Conrad, Whitney talked. About everything. About nothing. About the life they'd have when he woke up. We'll travel, she said. See the world. You can show me all those places you've been. We'll fight about stupid things like what to have for breakfast and who left the dishes in the sink. We'll make love and make mistakes and be messy and human, just like James said. Her voice cracked. But you have to wake up first. Please, Conrad. Please wake up. The monitors beeped. Conrad's hand stayed still. Dawn broke through the windows, cold and gray. Whitney's eyes burned from no sleep, her voice hoarse from talking. Then, just as she was about to close her eyes, Conrad's finger twitched. Conrad. His eyes moved beneath his lids. Conrad, can you hear me? Another twitch. Then his eyes opened, unfocused and confused. Hey, Whitney breathed, leaning close. Hey, you're okay. You're alive. His lips moved. No sound came out. Don't try to talk. You're in the hospital. The procedure worked. James is alive. You're alive. Everything worked. Conrad's hand found hers. Squeezed weakly. I'm here, she said. I'm right here. His eyes focused on her face. Recognition flickered. Then something else. Relief. Love. Terror. A single tear rolled down his cheek. Whitney wiped it away. I know. I love you too. Over the next week, both brothers recovered. Slowly. Painfully. But they recovered. James was released first. Cancer in remission. Doctors calling it a miracle. Conrad took longer. The procedure had nearly killed him. But day by day, he grew stronger. On the day he was finally released, Whitney helped him into the car. Take me home, he said. Your place or mine? He looked at her. Ours. She smiled. I like the sound of that. They drove to her tiny apartment, the one Conrad had owned and then transferred back to her name. It was small, cramped, nothing like his penthouse. This is Perfect, Conrad said, looking around. It's a shoebox. It's ours. He pulled her close. I don't need the penthouse. I don't need any of it. I just need you. You're really ready to downgrade? Whitney, he cupped her face. You're not a downgrade. You're the whole goddamn upgrade. You're everything. She kissed him, soft and sure. Then welcome home. That night, tangled in her second-hand sheets, Conrad spoke into the darkness. Marry me. Again. I know I already asked, but that was before everything. Before I almost died. Before you chose to stay anyway. He rolled over, looking at her in the dim light. Marry me for real. Small wedding. Your friends. James. No peacocks. Whitney laughed. No peacocks. Not a single one. Then yes. She kissed him. Yes, I'll marry you. For real this time. But outside, in a car across the street, Victoria sat with her phone. She'd watched everything. Planned everything. And now, she was ready to finish it. She dialed a number. It's time, she said. Send the files to the press. All of them. His financial crimes. The illegal acquisitions. Everything. Are you sure? The voice on the other end asked. Victoria smiled. Destroy him. She hung up. Tomorrow, Conrad Zayn's empire would burn, and Whitney would learn the truth. Her billionaire wasn't just broken. He was criminal. Whitney woke to the sound of her phone exploding. Texts, calls, notifications, all from numbers she didn't recognize. She grabbed it, squinting in the morning light. Conrad still slept beside her, his breathing steady, peaceful. The first headline made her stomach drop. Billionaire Conrad Zayn exposed. Years of financial manipulation and illegal acquisitions. She sat up, hands shaking. The second article was worse. Tech mogul bought and controlled multiple women through debt manipulation. Her face was in the third article. A photo of her and Conrad leaving the hospital. Latest victim. Struggling florist trapped in web of control. No, she whispered. Conrad stirred. What's wrong? She showed him the phone. His face went white. It's not what it looks like, he said immediately. Then what is it? Her voice shook. Because it looks like you've been breaking laws, manipulating acquisitions, using your money to control people. I was protecting them. That's not what this says. This says you've been under investigation for months. That Victoria wasn't the only one. That there are 4 other women who filed complaints. Conrad sat up, running his hands through his hair. They don't understand. Then make me understand. Because right now, all I see is evidence that the man I love is a criminal. I bought companies that were failing. I helped people who were drowning in debt. I gave them a lifeline. Without their knowledge, without their consent. Whitney's voice rose. You don't see the problem with that? I was trying to help. No, Conrad. You were trying to control. There's a difference. Someone pounded on the door. Hard. Official. Police? A voice called. Open up. Conrad's eyes met hers. Terrified. Guilty. What did you do? Whitney whispered. I bent rules. Crossed lines. Did things that weren't exactly legal to save people who couldn't save themselves. Did you break the law? Silence. Conrad. Did you break the law? Yes. The word came out broken. But only to help them. Only to save them. The pounding came again. Louder. Whitney stood, wrapping a sheet around herself. I can't do this. Whitney, please. No. She backed toward the door. I stood by you through everything. The lies, the manipulation, the near death. But this? Criminal charges? I can't. I love you. That doesn't fix this. Tears streamed down her face. Love doesn't make illegal things legal. It doesn't erase what you've done. She opened the door. 3 officers stood there with a warrant. Conrad Zayn, one asked. That's me, Conrad said, standing. He looked at Whitney. I'm sorry. For all of it. For not being the man you deserved. Don't. Her voice broke. Just go. They led him out in handcuffs. Whitney collapsed against the doorframe, sobbing. Her phone rang. "James, tell me you didn't know," she said immediately. "I didn't." James sounded wrecked. "I swear to God, Whitney, I didn't know. He kept it all from me. Said he was helping people. I thought he meant legally. What do I do?" "I don't know." James's voice cracked. "But he loves you. That part was real. Whatever else he did, that part was real." She hung up. The next 3 days were a nightmare. Press outside her building. Phone calls from reporters. Messages from strangers calling her stupid, naive, complicit. Victoria called on day 4. "I tried to warn you," she said, not unkindly. "You destroyed him." "No, he destroyed himself. I just made sure the world knew about it." "Why?" "Because he needed to face consequences. Because he hurt me and others, and someone had to stop him. Because maybe, just maybe, this is what rock bottom looks like, and only from there can he actually change." Whitney hung up. That night, James showed up at her door. He looked older, grayer, but alive. "He wants to see you," James said, "at the jail, before the hearing tomorrow." "I can't." "Yes, you can." James stepped inside. "Look, my brother's a lot of things. Controlling, manipulative, criminal, apparently. But he loves you. And I think you need to hear what he has to say. Not for him, for you." Whitney stared at this man who'd almost died, who'd been saved by his brother's sacrifice. "Okay," she whispered. "I'll go." The jail was cold, sterile, wrong. Conrad sat on the other side of plexiglass, looking smaller than she'd ever seen him. No expensive suit, no confidence. Just a man who'd lost everything. He picked up the phone. She did the same. "You came," he said. "James asked me to." "I'm sorry." "For which part? The lies? The crimes? The fact that I didn't know who you really were?" Conrad closed his eyes. "All of it. I'm sorry for all of it." "Why did you do it?" "Because I thought I was helping. Because after our parents died, James and I had nothing. We were broke, desperate. And then I made money, built companies. And I remembered what that felt like, being powerless. So every time I saw someone struggling, I thought I could save them." He looked at her. "I thought I could be their hero." "But you weren't." "No, I was their nightmare. I took away their agency. While thinking I was giving them freedom, I controlled them while telling myself it was love." He pressed his hand against the glass. "But with you, it was different. It started the same, but somewhere along the way, you became more than a project. You became everything, and I was too far in to know how to stop. You should have told me. I know. You should have trusted me to make my own choices. I know. You should have loved me enough to let me be free. I know." His voice cracked. "But I didn't know how. And now I've lost you. Lost everything. And I deserve it." Whitney wiped tears from her cheeks. "What happens now?" "Tomorrow they charge me officially. My lawyers say I'll probably do time. 3 to 5 years, maybe more. And your company? Gone. Seized by the feds. All of it." He laughed bitterly. "Turns out when you build an empire on illegal acquisitions, they take it all back." "What about James?" "He's clean. None of this touches him. He didn't know." Conrad looked at her through the glass. "I need you to promise me something." "What?" "Take care of him. When I'm gone, he's going to be alone and scared, and I need to know someone will be there." "Conrad." "Please, Whitney. I'm asking you to do the one thing I could never do. Let someone be free while still caring about them. Can you do that? Can you stay in his life without me controlling it?" Fresh tears fell. "Yes, I promise." "Thank you." He pressed his hand harder against the glass. "I love you. I'm going to love you for the rest of my life. Even if you never forgive me. Even if you move on and find someone who deserves you. I'll love you. Don't." Whitney's voice broke. "Don't make this harder." "I'm not trying to. I'm just telling you the truth. Finally, after all the lies, you deserve the truth. I love you. You changed me. You made me want to be better. And even though I failed, even though I'm sitting here paying for my crimes, I'll never regret meeting you. Never. Whitney couldn't speak through the tears. Go, Conrad said softly. Live the life we talked about. Travel. Fight. Make love. Make mistakes. Be messy. Be human. Do it for both of us. Conrad. Go, Whitney. Before I start begging you to wait for me, which wouldn't be fair to either of us. She stood slowly, pressed her hand to the glass opposite his. Goodbye, she whispered. See you later, he said. Liar. She walked away, didn't look back. Outside, James waited in his car. How is he? James asked as she got in. Broken. Real. Honest for the first time. That's something. They drove in silence. What are you going to do? James asked finally. I don't know. Move on. Rebuild. Try to figure out who I am without him. And us. Whitney looked at him. We're family now, whether I like it or not. James smiled sadly. I can live with that. 6 months later, Whitney stood in her flower shop. A new one, bigger, built with her own money from her own accounts. No help, no shortcuts, just her. The bell chimed. James entered, looking healthier than he had in years. The treatment had worked. The cancer was gone. Brought you lunch, he said, holding up a bag. You didn't have to. I know, but I wanted to. They ate together in the back room, talking about nothing and everything. Have you heard from him? Whitney asked quietly. Yeah, he writes every week. Asks about you every time. What do you tell him? That you're good, strong, living your life. James looked at her. Do you want to tell him anything else? Whitney thought about it, about the man she'd loved, the man who'd tried to buy her, the man who'd sacrificed himself for his brother, the man who was currently serving time for crimes committed in the name of control, disguised as love. Tell him I forgive him, she said finally. Not because what he did was okay, but because carrying anger is exhausting and I'm tired. I'll tell him. And tell him something else. What? Tell him I hope he finds peace. Real peace. The kind that doesn't come from controlling things or saving people. Just peace with himself. James smiled. He's going to love hearing that. I doubt it. You'd be surprised. He's different in there. Calmer. He's in therapy. Reading. Actually dealing with his trauma instead of just throwing money at it. James finished his sandwich. He asked me to tell you something last week. What? That he's learning. Finally, how to love without owning. How to care without controlling. And that even though you'll never see it, even though you've moved on, he's becoming the man he should have been for you. Whitney's throat tightened. That's good. I'm glad. Are you? Yeah. She smiled through sudden tears. I am, because he deserves healing too. We all do. James hugged her. You're a good person, Whitney Granger. I'm trying to be. After he left, Whitney stood in her shop surrounded by flowers. She thought about that night. The wrong wedding. The right person at the wrong time in the wrong way. She thought about love and control and the thin line between saving someone and destroying them. She thought about forgiveness and moving on and the complicated truth that you can love someone and still walk away. Her phone buzzed. A text from a number she didn't recognize. Hi, I'm Marcus, James's friend. He said you might be open to coffee sometime. No pressure. Just coffee. Whitney stared at the message. She thought about Conrad, locked away, becoming better too late. She thought about herself, rebuilt from nothing, stronger for it. Then she typed back, coffee sounds nice. She hit send. Outside, the sun broke through clouds. Inside, flowers bloomed in careful arrangements. And somewhere, in a cell 300 miles away, a man who tried to buy love learned to live without it. Life moved forward. Sometimes messy. Sometimes beautiful. Always, always forward. 2 years later, Whitney stood on a beach. Not at a wedding this time. Just standing, watching waves roll in and out in endless rhythm. Marcus stood beside her, hand in hers. They'd been together 18 months. He was kind, patient, present, everything she needed. You okay? He asked. Yeah. She smiled, just thinking about how we end up where we're supposed to be, even when the path is twisted. He kissed her temple, philosophical today. Always. Her phone rang. James. Conrad's being released, he said without preamble. Early. Good behavior. Whitney's heart stuttered. When? Next week. Oh. He doesn't expect anything, Whitney. He knows you've moved on. He just wanted me to tell you, in case you were ever in the city and wanted to grab coffee or something, as friends, or not, whatever you're comfortable with. Whitney looked at Marcus, who watched her with understanding eyes. Tell him, she said slowly, that I'm happy for him, that I hope he's found what he was looking for, and that maybe someday, if our paths cross, we can have that coffee. But not yet, not now. I'll tell him. She hung up. The ex. Marcus asked, the ex. You still love him? I'll always love him. Whitney turned to face Marcus fully. But I'm not in love with him anymore. There's a difference. Marcus smiled. I can live with that. They walked along the beach, the past and present and future tangling together in ways that made sense and didn't, the way life always does. And somewhere, in a city neither of them call home anymore, Conrad Zayn walked out of prison a free man. He looked at the sky, breathed free air, felt sun on his face. Then he pulled out his phone and sent a single text to his brother. I'm out, and I'm okay. Tell Whitney I kept my promise. I learned to love without owning, even if I never get the chance to show her. James texted back. She knows, and she's proud of you. Conrad closed his eyes against sudden tears. Thank you, he typed, for everything, for being my brother, for saving me when I thought I was saving everyone else. He put the phone away. Ahead of him lay a life rebuilt from ashes, a career to restart, a soul to continue healing, a future without the woman he'd loved and lost and learned from. It wasn't a fairy tale he'd imagined that night at the wrong wedding, but it was real, and sometimes real was better than perfect. He walked forward into his new life. Behind him, the past stayed where it belonged. Ahead, possibility waited with patient hands. And in a flower shop across the country, Whitney arranged roses and dahlias and thought, just for a moment, about the man who taught her that love without freedom is just another kind of prison. Then she finished the arrangement and moved on to the next, because that's what healing looked like. One flower at a time, one breath at a time, one moment at a time. Forward, always forward. The end.